Hello, everyone. Welcome to KJL Podcast Channel, our guest artist interview. Today, we have a special treat for you, kicking off 2026 with an amazing artist. And I'm so happy to have her here. I'm going to read a little bit of her bio here for you. First of all, I want to make sure that everyone can hear me. That's for one thing. I know you can't see me right now. I have my little podcast cover on here, so I'm going to take it off so you can take a look at Mr. Lewis here. And so today in the sanctuary, that's what I call my studio here, in the sanctuary, I'm going to read her bio for you. We have Léni Paquet-Morante. I was said I'm going to mess up her middle name. Oh my God. I keep wanting to say Paquet, but it's Paquet-Morante. And she is a New Jersey-based multidisciplinary artist, referencing shallow water systems for interpretive work in the studio, motivated by process-driven imagery in paint, sculpture, and printmaking projects. For abstractions, reconfigure familiar landscape elements, extracted, then rearranged in a manner that speaks to the architecture of memory and dreams. Born in Canada, Léni is a Hamilton, New Jersey-based artist. Recent recognition includes a New Jersey State Council of the Arts finalist grant for painting in 2024, residency at Wheaton Glass Studio in 2025, Vermont Studio Center residency for painting in 2024, Peters Valley Visiting Artist Registry for printmaking in 2023. Solo exhibitions include Abstract, Landscape, and the Architecture of Memory at Princeton University Art Museum's Bainbridge Gallery in 2025. And we are going to see some images from that exhibition. That was just recent. She earned a BFA in painting from Mason Grove School of Art in 1992 and studied bronze casting techniques at Johnston Atelier Technical Institute of Sculpture from 1984 to 1985. And without any further ado, we're going to bring her in the studio, in the sanctuary. How are you doing?
Good morning, Ken. It's so nice to be here with you.
Yes, I'm so excited that you're here. I mean, you're such an amazing artist. I love your artwork, and everyone else is going to love it as soon as they see it as well. And we're going to start, though, with a statement. I always ask everyone that comes in, is there a statement that they live by? So I'm going to go show yours here. And your statement was, show up, the work will follow. Can you elaborate on that for us?
Well, I think that's a mantra that could apply to any aspect of their lives. It has to do with the discipline. And, I'm a self-employed artist. I make a living selling my artwork, and I make a life making my artwork. And none of that can happen unless I show up to work for myself with the same discipline that we all know how to do when you're punching the proverbial time clock for somebody else.
Absolutely. Yes. Before we go any further, also, I'm going to do this a few different times, but I'm going to show you ways that you can contact. Let me see. So we have your email address here, and then we have your website, LéniPaquet-Morante.com. We have her Instagram here, Facebook, and like I said, we're going to show it a few different times. Then we have LinkedIn. And like I said, I'm just so happy that you're here. So one of the first questions I'm going to ask you, in this beginning, I'm going to talk about kind of more like your origins and your process. So when did it shift from something you enjoyed doing to something you truly felt like you had to? Was it at a young age? Like, when did all of this occur, basically?
I recall the first time I picked up a paintbrush, it was to do a paint by numbers, and I pretended to be sick so I could stay home from school to work on it. And of course, I didn't stay in the lines, and I believe I was about 11 years old at the time. And it's kind of telling. It's sort of the way I still work.
Yes.
I identified as an artist at 8 years old. I had done
Wow.
the drawing and looked at it and thought, I recognized that it was something that felt good to do, and I liked the result. And said that, to my young self, I remember it very clearly. I remember the moment. And so, in high school is when I did my first concentrated efforts to making artwork. I had a really good art teacher in high school. I'm still in touch with him. And, everything from that point on until I had family, and even through having family, as a family, my husband's a sculptor. We were always invested in the local arts community and in the making of art, even if we weren't immediately doing it. Using our hands as a way to express oneself was something I did even when I wasn't making art, and that became swinging a hammer and doing renovations and designing those renovations. And there's a lot of creativity in all of that too. But I've always identified as an artist, and I don't separate my interest in it from a moment of not having a passion for it. It just was a matter of waiting for the moment where the scales allowed my time to dedicate more of my time to it.
Awesome. That's beautiful. Let me ask you, when you begin a new piece, do you usually start with a plan, or
No.
you let the work unfold? It's just like you let it unfold. I was looking at your video for sort of your process, and to me it seemed like it's kind of intuitive. And
I believe the trickiest thing is often, and again in life too, is to trust your instincts and to flow. So I don't do a sketch first ever. I believe my subconscious can lead my hand. I've got trust in my hand. To do its job.
Yeah, it's really, really working. It really is. And here's a short clip of her actually kind Wow. Amazing. And listen, that's just the beginning of it. These turn out masterful when she does these. I mean, they're really masterful. And we're going to take a look at some of her artwork in a second. Excuse me. But one other question I want to ask before I show some of your artwork was, probably you get asked this all the time. I get asked it all the time. When do you know a painting is done? And what tells you when it's time to start a new one, or do you work on multiples at a time?
If you're quiet enough in your mind, the painting, you'll hear the painting tell you it's done.
Mm-hmm.
And it has to do with some restraint,
Exactly.
I've purposely pushed a painting past that point to see what I can discover, and that's a really important part of the process. I think it's really important to make some bad paintings and to learn through that. Really important. And I think it was in 2020, 23 or 24, somewhere in there, that I actually destroyed more work than I ever had before. And that was very liberating. I think it's just fine to recognize that a piece is a journey, not an end result.
Exactly.
I didn't used to work in series. I mean, one could argue that over a course of 10 years, it's all a series and an evolutionary one. But I have, in recent years, started some work that's a series. And so, behind me, you can see that silver and black piece. That was the result of a further inquiry following a series of small ink works where there was sort of a black on black that was very difficult to see and required an intimacy for viewing that I really liked. It rewarded that closer look. But I also wanted to explore some of the other sort of process things I had witnessed and developed through that ink series as larger works that were less difficult to see and that were more promoting that kind of reverse drawing that I was discovering. And what I mean by reverse drawing is, the black object on the silver field is a result of having had a lot of color and a lot of black there, and then the silver as an oil on top of acrylic. The silver is what then revealed, in a way, those black, what seemed to be drawings and objects. And so it's the reverse. It's the tide coming up, so to speak, and leaving something behind as the paint floated up and around the field to leave things behind. And I like the discipline of that. A kind of a restraint and a slower movement than, say, for instance, that drawing that it was in that video clip that you showed earlier.
Okay, so we're going to take a look at some of your artwork here, and tell me a little bit about this piece here.
That is exactly part of that series that I was just talking about. That piece was recently collected. I really liked it. Again, it starts with a lot of color all over the surface, and then a covering up, this sort of sacrifice at the same time as a reveal or sacrifice and preservation, I should say, to create forms through the obliteration of space around it. And then there's more reveal. Again, all those sort of black shapes happened with the putting down of the silver.
Beautiful. I really like this piece. This is one of my favorites. I really like this piece right here.
Thank you.
We're going to take a look at this next piece. It's called Rivers Whisper 3, I think, right?
Right. I did a series of works on paper at the Johnson Studio School fall of 2024, and this was one of them. So speaking of series, as we were a few moments ago, what I went up there with the intention, again, to further investigate those small ink drawings that I had done and what had happened in them. So what I did was on the studio wall, I put up 3. These are 30 by 22 inch paper.
Mm-hmm.
arches, hot press. So it's a very heavyweight paper. Put 3 at a time up on the wall and work 3 at a time through the palette and the rhythm. This
Here's
one,
here's here's number two.
yeah,
Yeah, as you said in the series, this you got that
right.
was number three. This is number two.
So
Oh
one of
man,
the
these
other
are really
things
nice.
I was really interested in was the preservation of the page where
Mm-hmm.
it goes from being the negative space or the other space to becoming the object, and a
Mm-hmm.
kind of calisthenics of seeing
Mm-hmm.
to where you can shift your focus in that that sort of white space at the top right goes in and out as object or as negative space. I
Mm-hmm.
like that sort of flip floppy imbalance or recovery of balance. Yeah, so those 3 go
And
together,
this is number one.
right? And so you'll
These.
still see a lot of landscape
Mm-hmm.
elements in these, certainly abstracted, but there's the leaf on the left, lower
Mm-hmm.
left. Not that
Yeah,
I intended that to begin with, but the painting provided room for it to happen.
and these three are really really nice. They're beautiful. They're absolutely beautiful.
Thank you.
Um, you like plein air as well. I was like looking and
I
I
do.
saw, yeah, this is like one of your pieces here. Where was
That
this at?
one,
Where were you
I was
taking?
in Maine. One of my
Oh, okay.
collectors from years ago had a home
Mhm.
up there and offered me a week to make paintings.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
he ended up purchasing this piece, and so I was up there for 5 days, and I made about 2 paintings a day. Um,
Wow, it's
uh,
beautiful.
I really like this. I do like being out on the rocks. I think that there's a
Hmm.
lot of movement there and a lot of opportunity to think about landscape. I never intend to make a portrait of the place, although they do end up being that way. But I like to think that my goal isn't to make a portrait of anywhere, but to challenge my notions about brushstroke primarily.
Yeah.
So, these are rooted in a kind of modern impressionism, maybe, or expressionism, or
Uh-huh.
expressionist brushstroke. When
Hmm.
you come up close to them, they're really, a sense of place goes away completely. Um, but I do like to do plein air work. It keeps me honest, and
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
tuned into some color play that might
Hmm.
otherwise be elusive. You
Yes.
know,
We have a comment from Pauline Brown Fine Art. She's another artist. She's been interviewed on here when I was in my infancy of doing the artist interview. We have to have her back on here. But she said these are very cool. And I agree
thank you,
with you,
Pauline.
Pauline. They absolutely are. And that's coming from a fellow artist.
Well, thank you.
It's
Hey, Pauline
I
reached out to me, and we should sit down and chat, have a studio visit.
yes, yes, yes. Pauline does some amazing work as well. So I want to put the notice on there. Thanks, Pauline, for tuning in. Okay, let me move to this next page here. You had your recent exhibition in Princeton at uh, Extraction Abstract
Abstract.
at the Bainbridge in Princeton. And tell me, how did all of that, come about, and how was the show, and everything?
The show was amazing.
Hmm.
Certainly, there's something to be said for a difference between seeing your work on your studio wall or in the stacks or on the floor. When they're in a clean environment and a different environment, they are certainly elevated. And it came about, I suppose, somewhat organically. I've been part of the community here since 1984. I got back to painting and was as loud about it as I possibly could be, because I had an urgency about restarting my career. And I was fortunate that we are in a community that pays attention to the arts and the artists within it, and
Hmm.
sharing interest as you are. And
Mhm.
they approached me and about showing with them, and it happened. I was very honored and surprised and
Yes.
delighted, and the team
I,
there
I
was
wouldn't be
amazing to
I
work
wouldn't
with.
be I wouldn't have been surprised. I see your work, and so I'm sure once they saw it, they were like, "Oh my God, we have to have this there." So here's a few pictures from the exhibition as well, and I,
That's a plein air piece I did up in Massachusetts.
mhm,
Um, yeah, a difficult painting to make, but I really
yes,
enjoyed it.
and the layout, it was so beautiful. The Bainbridge is beautiful anyway, and
Hmm.
your artwork just made that place like really pop. It really made it pop in there.
Well, shout out to Carl Kusero, who's the curator of American art at the University Museum, and Michael Kitasaka, who is a PhD candidate there with a keen
Uh-huh.
interest in curation. And so Michael did most of the legwork
Mhm.
to choose the work and to sort it within those rooms to tell a story. And early on, they actually asked me, what did I want the show to be? And my answer to them, honestly, was, I don't want the show to be anything. I want you to put together your vision, to tell the story through your eyes, because nobody sees the work the way I do. And it's very interesting, very intriguing to see somebody else tell a story through my work.
Yes. I mean, it just looks amazing. Like, and he did a great, like you said, he did a great job with the selection, the layout. Um, this is so nice.
Well, it's an intimate space.
It really
Ironically, you
is.
see in this picture the pebbled shallow piece on the left and the little plein air
Hmm.
piece to the left of it. Those are actually a plein air piece to the farthest left was a plein air piece that I did at the location that inspired the larger one to the right of it. So it's
Wow.
funny that he put the two next to each other, although he had no idea that they were really of the same place.
Hmm. So he most likely could feel what you felt while you were creating those, and
It's
that's a sign
possible.
of a good curator. That's a sign of a very good curator as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
So
A sensitive eye. Absolutely.
yes. And here's some more photos.
Ironically, all three paintings in view in that current room that we're looking at, all three of those are in collections now. They were purchased from the show.
Mhm. While we're looking at your beautiful work here at the Bainbridge, again, we're going to show everyone how they can get in contact with you and they can see more of your work and purchase some of your work. This is your email address. And then we have your website. And make sure you follow her on Instagram. Make sure you follow Léni on Facebook.
By the way, on Facebook you can see an entire inventory of my work. If you go to photos and then to albums, everything I've made, including what
Okay.
I've sold, can be viewed. So that kind of tells a story as well, if you're interested.
Okay. And then we have LinkedIn.
Yeah, I don't do too much on LinkedIn. I'm there primarily just to be there in case somebody's looking for me.
Mm-hmm. This is so beautiful. Now we let me get over here. Now we come to that like really, really shameless part where I get to put on one of my commercials, and we'll be back in a couple of seconds here if I can get to where my commercial is. We'll be right back.
You're watching KJL Podcast Channel, home of Art with Kenneth, where he paints live, share techniques, and talks all things art. The Art History Show, highlighting legendary artists from the past and their lasting impact. The Muse Unveiled Show Experience, where real people become timeless works of art. Don't miss the Gallery and Museum Tour Show, taking you through inspiring exhibitions and creative spaces across the country. Join us monthly for coffee, tea, paint and sip, a relaxed, hands-on event at the KJL Art Sanctuary. Commissioned accepted, and now is the perfect time to begin your journey as a collector. Want to support the channel? Tap the Buy Me a Coffee link in the description. Plan your visit to the KJL Art Sanctuary Gallery and Studio at 310 4th Street, Ewing, New Jersey. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the KJL podcast channel, where art dwells, breathes, and inspires. Now back to the show.
Okay, awesome. So let's get on to our next thing. Here's my next question for you. I almost knocked my coffee over. This is a side note. I was interviewing someone and I'm on my computer and I pick up my coffee and the whole thing spills on the computer. Wipe the whole interview out. It was crazy. I just almost did it again. Okay. Now, let me ask you, how do you prepare for your solo shows? And what's your normal studio practice? How do you go about, that?
It's a good question, Ken. And I got to tell you, since the show, I've had 2 handfuls of people reach out to me, artists, to ask me the same question.
Wow.
In order to get the answer and apply it to their own practice. So I feel like there's perhaps a workshop in that. But the truth is, in my experience, and this may not be others, making the art is the least time consuming thing I do. The administration of a career is very time intensive, and
tell me about it.
Right. It includes things like this, and which are just brilliant and fun. And then the less brilliant and fun things that are exceedingly necessary, like just documenting your work professionally, so that you have a photo file that is professional and crisp and high resolution and ready to be made into a print if that was, whether that's your intent or not, because that's the quality that's really required to present your work well. And so having, Excel files that become a catalog of the work, that's something I do by date, and a catalog or a record of who owns your work. And, I've got 4 different ways that and it's all fairly rudimentary. I know there are softwares out there that do all of this for you, but this works for me. I have a printout catalog so that one can take a look at, a thick stack of paper with thumbnails that show all the work, so that instead of going through all my artwork, all the stacks, all the works on paper, perhaps a conversation for a collector might be, well, what size are you looking for? Do you want work on paper or whatever? And I could flip through this visual catalog as a shortcut to understanding more what they want. A visitor to the studio can get really overwhelmed if I'm not tuned into what it is they're looking for.
Exactly.
Because really, I think most people can consume visually, intellectually, and emotionally. They can consume 20 pieces before they're overwhelmed.
Exactly. I know exactly what you're talking about.
And it's easy for me, and I'll show you. It's easy for me to overwhelm somebody with the work that I have to show them. It's so anyway, what else I do in my practice besides that is requires some diligence and a strong stomach, and that is I receive lots of rejections, which means that I'm doing my job by applying to to 30 residencies or 10 residencies. It doesn't matter however many I'm applying to. I'm getting maybe one.
Yes.
One a year. And that's fine. One a year is plenty for me, actually, because I'm blessed to have this space. I can work where I am. But getting out into the world and changing your location, meeting some new people, all of that has become important to me as well.
Yeah. It's nice to have everyone come to your studio, but like you said, it is good to get out and about as well, and mingle. Right. I find that too, that sometimes I find myself just wanting to be in the studio all the time, and you have to get out into the world. And
and I
you
do,
seem. Go ahead, I'm
yeah.
sorry.
To that end, I do what I call a self-funded residency. I'll find it like going to Massachusetts or whatever to make paintings at somewhere else, or Canada or wherever. I'll get an Airbnb and just go away for a week, and
Awesome.
just make paintings and not have to do the commute through domestic that we all have to do as part of our community and family.
Well, listen, if we have a bunch of people on right now, feel free to ask any questions. We have the artists here. I'm quite sure you may have a few questions for us, so feel free, just drop it in. We'll put it up on the screen, and we'd love to hear from you. Such an amazing artist. You want to pick someone's brain like this, such a talent, so professional, and the work is just, like I told you, it's really, really amazing. And so pick her brain while I have her here. You use nature, water, and memory in a lot of your work. How did that come about, or is like that's something you've always done, or?
No, the recent work, which has, I suppose you could call it, somewhat of a narrative quality to it. It really began, when I started to paint again. It had been 30 years since I'd put a brush to a canvas. And that was in 2012. My family had gone camping up in New Hampshire, and I just decided, with my kids being older at that point, I decided, they can cook and clean, and I'm going to make some paintings. And I did 4 paintings and was surprised and delighted to see I remembered how. And then for a few years, I did a few paintings each year. But what happened as I amped up my production was that I was drawn to water. And I mean, generally, I would find myself in a landscape that had water. And what I saw was that I was painting the water. That the way I painted the water was kind of interesting to me. There was a loose, abstract, expressionist quality to it. And so I started to look at the water more closely. I would even use my camera right down at the water's edge to photograph what was happening, because my eyes couldn't really capture that. And so for a while, I was doing paintings based on those photos as reference, and had a show at Mercer County Community College called Puddle Architecture that really kind of celebrated that work, along with plein air work and my early forays into a more lyrical abstraction. But what I started to do, and it's interesting, I think I should probably go back and find the first piece that crossed the line into the sort of narrative. But the truth is that the work started to reference itself and become evolutionary from itself. And so I don't know at what point really that a switch happened.
Gotcha.
Where I was no longer looking at the water, but I was relying on a kind of memory. I suppose it could have been when in 2022, I had been making some bronze sculpture, and that was a result of having started to see my paintings three-dimensionally. And so I hurt my shoulder, and I needed to restrain my movement so that I could heal. And so I picked up a very 6x6 inch art cards and started to do ink work out in the landscape. And I think it was really there that I started to, for instance, look at a wider landscape and just pick out a small still life, if you will, of a stick and a few leaves, and maybe there was water nearby, and it was the shape of the current that interested me. So I would really extract those 3 elements and put them together as a drawing on the page without the noise of the rest of the landscape. And from those, I started to wonder how to make a painting that felt like those drawings. And so these pieces here were followed closely that ink work. And then those ink pieces became much larger. And in fact, I'm doing some new ink work now, right behind me, that you can see on Instagram better, where I'm thinking about sculpture. And
I think we have a few of those. I think we have a few of those that I'm going to bring up on here, as a matter of fact. I think so.
So that doesn't really answer your question, Kenneth, but, you know, I don't try to track the DNA or the evolution of my work. I just do it.
Yeah, and you don't have to, because you, like I said, it's a question to ask. Some people may be curious, but it doesn't necessarily have an answer, you know, especially being artists. But let me ask you this. Outside of painting, what are some of your other artistic interests, and do they influence your work in the studio? Because I did see, let me pull it up here. I saw this piece.
Yeah, that's bronze. And that's the work I was referencing a few minutes ago about where I was starting to see my paintings as if they were three-dimensional. And so I did these they're shallow bronzes, more like a relief. And they are interpretations of shallow water systems. So you'll see leaves and rocks and a sense of light play.
Yes.
Created sculpturally so that light could hit them the way light might hit water. These were actually created not in the positive, but rather the negative. And I was carving the equivalent of a small brick. So instead of just carving straight down, I was actually down and then sideways. I was tunneling and having to think about the way bronze would flow. And so everywhere that there might be two objects that come together this way, you know, I'd have to leave thin bits of sand behind, little, very delicate. Wow. I truly forgot how to paint for a while after doing these. And I had a medical student describe to me why that was. And it's because he said I was creating brand new neural pathways. You know, I suppose somewhat like, you know, although you know how to walk, you don't necessarily know how to walk a tightrope.
Exactly.
So,
this is great.
So this is my great. Walking a tightrope.
Yes. Well, right. You walked it. You did it well.
Well, thank you.
You did well.
You know, actually, it bears mentioning that walking the tightrope is one of the most important things for me, and that's why I work in different media. And I suppose a psychologist would have a field day with my saying that, because there's a danger zone to it. And that's my best playground.
Yes.
Where I'm a little unfamiliar and very challenged and have lots of questions and am okay with making mistakes.
And that's where the discovery comes in. That's where the discovery comes in. So keep doing that. It obviously is working. And we're going to take a look at some more of your artwork here.
Yeah.
And this is called, what is it? Oaken?
Oaken. Yeah. That's 36 by 36. And the vertical shaft in my work really references something that I saw in landscape, which is the reflection of a tree on water. So you'll have the vertical above the embankment and then the vertical below it as a shadow. And I reference it now sort of more as a metaphor, and the metaphor is you, the figure in the landscape, as a vertical, right? So if you think about it in those terms, now you know where you are, and the gaze downward to a sense of reflection. But there's also a sculptural quality to these, and I really trying to celebrate several different ways of seeing. Again, that's the way I see, which is, and I can only assume other people do too, this sort of calisthenics, what I call the calisthenics of seeing, where you can flip a switch and bring things in and out of focus, and rearrange the priority or their hierarchy within the landscape, metaphorically and realistically.
There's another. This is different than the other ones I've seen.
Well, those were at the Vermont Studio Center, and they were after those. Remember that triptych of 3 works on paper called Rivers Whisper? So these happened after those. And, right. So yes, different, but they're really big too. And so they started out as completely different fields of color that were unrestrained and huge brushwork. I like in this work, and it continues in my current work, to have this really fun, what I consider a fun balance between, or tension between, a really open, broad brushwork and sort of a much tighter matrix up and around it. And that energy difference is fascinating to create and to look at.
Do you like working smaller or big, or do you have a preference for either? Do you like working large or small?
I like doing both. There's something completely. That's like saying, I speak to food sometimes. It's like choosing a restaurant. We can say we like food, right? We all enjoy food, but we'll choose one restaurant over another for what it brings to us in the moment.
Yes. Okay.
I love this triptych.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
These are beautiful. How big are these?
Each one of those panels is 24 by 24. And what's really fun about this triptych is that you can rearrange it and it still works. And I started those because I had noticed when I was making those thumbnails of my larger portfolio that whether the piece was large or small, once they all became the sort of same size as the thumbnail, they would meet each other and forms migrate from one into the other. Mainly because I am dividing space the same way. And so through the triptychs and diptychs, I started to play with that notion and found that you could rearrange the 3 and they still work and still have continuity from one into the other.
Wow. Stunning. They're absolutely stunning. We're going to go on to this one here. This is called Silvered
Flotsam, right. Again, that's a work on paper when I was just figuring out the oil stick on top of acrylic.
Yeah, I have to try the oil stick too. I saw you at Jerry's and you had pointed them out to me. That's one thing I'm going to try myself, the oil stick.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Yeah. And I chose the oil stick for this series because again, there's kind of this discipline and this, for me, a statement about intentionality. Like, okay, here goes the oil. You can't back out of this now. It's going to be what it's going to be, and this mark is going to be honest and direct and not fussy, and it's really sort of channeling this sort of dedicated emotion of the making.
We have this piece here.
That's called Calliope, and it's 60 inches square. And this is from the series that I'm going to continue at Virginia Center for the Creative Arts in February, where I'll be for 17 days at a residency, uninterrupted time to just make several more of these large pieces.
It's a really beautiful. I really like the colors in this. It's really amazing. I like it. This one really speaks to me a lot. This one right here. This is probably my second favorite that I've seen so far. I had to show the first one. That was my favorite first. But this is up there though.
Well, thank you. Yeah. I can never know how they're going to work out. What you see as a white here is the prepared canvas. And so it's not actually white. It's what I call a sueded finish that I start with. So several layers of different color, slightly off white, that is a mottled surface, so that anywhere, good morning, John.
Good morning,
Anywhere
John.
that I leave that surface, behind or preserved, it actually has some intentionality as well. It's not just a raw canvas, but that preserving of, just like going back to the Rivers Whisper work, preserving a sense of substrate, where it goes from being substrate to being object, and that restrained movement and that preservation is kind of that's the tightrope again.
Yeah, it's amazing. This is beautiful. I'm not sure if I shoot this one just yet.
Yeah, we talked about that one earlier.
Yes.
In Maine.
Right there. And this one right here, I think this one is, wow, this is beautiful as well.
That's, again, a 60-inch square. This is part of the series I'm going to be working on shortly. These are both from this year. I'm sorry, from 2025, which really had me not producing as much as I'm used to doing because of the show at Princeton, where my attention was really being directed elsewhere. Interrupting the creative process, and that's okay. I actually just embraced it and got to some domestic things that I had ignored for a while, like my garden. This is one of my recent pieces where I'm thinking about still life.
Are those some of the ones you were showing me on the wall in the back?
Yes.
Yep. Okay.
Indeed. So because of my residency at Wheaton Art Glass last year, I started to think about transparencies as object, ice particularly. And these are imagined. I'm not looking at anything when I'm doing these except in my mind's eye. So this is what I call a saddle leaf, ice, and branch. And thinking about just a sort of sculptural interpretation. But I was actually musing on Instagram yesterday, I think, about whether or not I actually need to make the sculpture, because in many ways this is enough for me.
Wow. We have another message from John here. The colors and shapes really build into the concept. So many things you can see in the forms. Yes, John. And I think he was referring not just to this one, but the one we just had shown.
Calliope and
yes.
Yeah. Thank you, John. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this ink work
and thanks
is
for
much
tuning
smaller.
in, John. Now, what was that again? I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
This ink work has a lot going on in it. They're much smaller. This is like 6 inches tall by about 10 inches long. They're on big pieces of paper, so they exist in a big negative space, which in my eye sort of lends itself to imagining yourself walking around them sculpturally. But there is an awful lot going on in them that kind of speak to a natural interpretation of landscape. The fact that it's being described on what looks like a stick instead of on a body of water, that's okay. That's part of the fun. It's a lot of the same shapes you see in the larger paintings, just sort of migrating onto these surfaces.
This is a really, really nice series right here. This is really impressive.
I invite anybody who wants to come see them in person.
Yes. Where exactly, we didn't put up your location of your studio, or do they just reach out to you and you're by appointment, or how do you
I am by appointment. I'm very pleased to be part of the studio program that's located at the Grounds for Sculpture in the Motor Exhibit Building, which is open to staff or by appointment with the original with the resident artist. It's not a resident artist. It's artists. We are here. We don't reside here. This is just where we have our studios. but by appointment. So reach out to me through Instagram or my website or however you'd like, or email. And I have visitors all the time. It's a lot of fun to talk to other artists, I'm becoming a senior member of this art community, Kenneth, as you are. And so
don't mind me.
I remember keenly being a 20-something and the older women in our community, how they shared their knowledge and were not only welcoming and lovely, but encouraging. And so I've taken up a staff to be that for other people as well. I think it's our responsibility because, we can have a healthy practice ourselves, but we're part of a community, and our health is dependent on the health of a wider community. And so
it definitely is.
I think it's everybody's responsibility to encourage everybody else, no matter where we are in our stages.
Exactly.
Yeah.
John has another. I love the use of blank space. It really draws you in, and I totally agree with you on that, because as I was looking at those and just that blank space back there, and then this piece right there, it just says so much. Masterful.
Thank you, John. That's very kind.
Okay, let me down here. See, I'm trying to walk and chew gum here. The old man here.
You're doing well. I think I'm not a musician, never have been, but it seems to me you're playing an instrument here.
Oh, yes, I am. But what we are going to do is we're going to show them how to get in contact with you again. So we have your email address, and we're going to show your website. Everybody, jot this down, make a visit to her studio, contact her, and most importantly, buy some artwork from her.
Absolutely.
And,
hey, whether it's buying artwork from me or from Kenneth or from another artist it's irrelevant to me. I mean, certainly my bank account cares whether it's from me or not, but just buy art, because if it's good for you, Kenneth, or good for another artist in the community, it's good for me too.
Exactly.
We got a question from somebody. Good morning. As an abstract artist, you feel your way of seeing is always shaping how you experience the world, or is it something you can step in and out of? I can step in and out of it, which is really fun. It's a switch, and it's something I became very aware of. I became aware of it on my way back from painting about 15 years ago, where I was driving and everything I was looking at was looking like a painting. and I had to really turn it off on purpose because it was distracting. So I think that it's a skill one can develop. I mean, it's my experience. I can't really say whether it's others.
I have another question. You were recently featured in Abstract Magazine. How did you feel about seeing your work discussed from that lens?
There's a lot of people like you who are expressing their interest in the art world in various ways. And Abstract Magazine was something I came across in 2020 when we all were spending a lot of time on our computer monitors. And I really didn't know them. I applied, and it was many years later that I became aware that they had used some of my images as I had applied. But then they reached out to me recently and said that they were just coming out from under the barrage of interest they had back then. And so they caught up with me and shared more of my work. I'm happy to share my work with lots of different venues. And back to 2020, there's a platform called Wild Roof Journal, which is mostly literary, but they include work by artists. It's a very nominal fee. It's called Wild Roof Journal. And Aaron Lolito, who is a photographer, and literary guy. And I mean, I didn't know who they were, but it turns out I was one of the very first contributors for the very first issue.
Oh,
and
wow.
I've contributed to them. I think there were a couple of years where I didn't, but it's been going on for quite a while now. And it's lovely, share your work. What does it matter? It gets seen and provides some interesting relationships between other art forms that I'm not familiar with, poetry and such.
What I'll do is I'll get that information from you, and I'll put it in the description for this episode. And so if anybody wants to come in, they can follow up on what you just shared with us.
Yeah,
that's beautiful. At this stage in your career, like how do you personally define success?
I don't.
And listen, remember I told you the questions, but they don't necessarily have to have answers.
Right. I think that a successful day is a day where I get into the studio and do some thinking or making. And it's for others to, like a curator's job, it's for others to say whether it's a success or not, because that kind of depends on what matrix you're throwing that word at. Are you talking about financially? Well, I sell my work and I've been self-employed for a while, so I'm successful at that. I work really hard at that part. As you know, it takes a huge investment of time and money. You got to spend some money to make some money. And I certainly have figured out a way to do that. I do the outdoor art festival gig. And a lot of times people will say, well, why are you here? Why aren't you in a museum or in a gallery? And I say, well, I am, but I'm also here.
Yes.
That said, I am not represented by a gallery. I'm self-represented. I have had some interest, and things could develop as a result of people having seen my work at Bainbridge, which was the biggest stage I've been on yet. But I tell people I'm at these outdoor festivals on Long Island or in upstate New Jersey or in Virginia to provide a wider audience. And it's really typical for people to see me for the first time and not make a purchase, but come back to me 6 months or a year or 2 years later, or watch me for a while. And then come around and then it's not about buying one piece, it's about buying 4 or 5, and that's brilliant,
and it's a definite investment.
It is, and you got to have a strong stomach for it. Rejection is or making no sales is your job to do. I used to have the stomach for it.
Years ago, I worked for a coffee company, and I got so many accounts, and I knocked on so many crazy doors. And every time I saw a no solicitation sign, it translated into my head, welcome. There's people here that need to be solicited to. And I would go through the door all the time and end up getting sales. We have a couple more comments here. This is Terror Narrations. I think I'm saying it right. To be seen is to live. Amazing work. Thank you so much. And thank you for tuning in, as well. And then we have another comment here. Michael here, by the way. Thanks for doing this. That answer is so interesting. I wish I could see the world that way.
I would think that most people can. It's a skill to develop.
Yes. This is amazing.
And you might even find, if you think about it, that you're already doing it for different things. In a way, it's kind of a rationalization. Like if you're faced with a moment, do I buy Starbucks coffee or do I make coffee at home? That's really flipping a switch, right?
Yes.
It's flipping your perspective on how to manage, time and money and all these things. And really that flipping of a switch can happen in the way you look at the way you see the world and the way you
Mhm.
interpret. I'm flipping a switch all the time between different materials.
Mhm.
Which tightrope do I go on today?
Yes.
And so I'm going to have to move my body a little differently for each one.
And we have art, Terra narrations. Again, art is all around us. Just need to be willing to stop and see it.
Right.
You are so right. You are so right. The creator, whatever you believe in, this design is amazing. I don't care what anyone says. It's just, this is a beautiful world.
You know what? One of my favorite little drawings back from 2022 was was a drawing of at the muddy embankment of a lake that was drying up, and the geese had gathered there, and I was just sitting in a chair looking around. And Terra Nations, what I saw was cracked mud, goose poop, and bits of sticks and things. And that drawing was the goose poop and the cracked mud and the sticks and things.
Mhm.
And, it was about drawing and about making a decision
Yes.
about what to draw. And so I think you're right. You can make art from whatever's around you. And to that point, one of the things we were talking about mentoring, I do get a lot of people asking me, how do I start, or complaining actually about not having enough space to make. And I said, listen, there are no excuses. When I couldn't move my shoulder, I went to a small format, and I found such creative opportunity in that constriction.
Yeah.
It encouraged the moment to think differently. And so I say, no excuses. Just figure a thing out.
This is such a blessing.
We do it for other people all the time. We rearrange ourselves and our lives to fit other mandates. We do that all the time. So if you do it for yourself, that goes back to my statement about show up, the work will follow.
Exactly. This is such a blessing having you on here. And we're so in tune, because my question was going to be for you. My last question was, what advice would you give for young and up and coming artists? And you're like already moved into that already with the advice stage of it. And I am so grateful that you came here to do this interview. And it's amazing. I hope everyone got something from it. And it was absolutely one of the better interviews I've had.
Oh, well, thank you, Kenneth. I'm glad we bumped into each other at Jerry's Artorama, and shout out to them, because they put up with us interrupting the sale at the counter.
Yes. Yes.
But yeah, so, I'm familiar with you and your work, just sort of peripherally in the community. I was really glad to get to know you better too. And,
yes. Same here. And I'm just, like I told you, your work is amazing. I know that anyone that sees it, and you've seen the stuff that we showed here today, it's absolutely amazing. We have another comment here. Hold on a second. I don't want to try to pronounce your name here. Hard to get the chat, but every morning I enjoy your work every morning.
I don't know who that is. I know somebody with the last name Katz, and so I won't shout that out, but yeah.
Let's see this.
Thank you. Yeah, I do have people who've been watching me on Instagram for a while, and lovely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to show your information one more time here, and if you'd like to contact her, here's the email address and website, Instagram. Make sure you follow Instagram, and also follow her on Facebook, LinkedIn, and as she said, show up, the work will follow. So I'm going to give you, is there anything else you'd like to share with us, before we close out?
No, we covered a lot. We brought out the proverbial 20 paintings, and I'm saturated. How about you?
Listen, I can look at them on and on and on. Like normally, I'll stand there and I'll look at a painting for a very long time. So I could have just looked at quite a few of those for like a long time. So we don't have enough time for that, but I could have. And and again, I am so grateful that you came in, and make sure you all like, share, and subscribe the KJL podcast channel. Not only do I do the artist interviews, I have art history, and I do some art demonstrations, and I have a new show that's coming up. It's called the Muse Unveiled Show Experience, where I'll be doing portraits of individuals that I've met. I'll interview them and then create a portrait. And I'm going to put a link in the description. I just had my children's book I just did. It's called Caden's Dream. It's dedicated to my grandson. It's called Caden's Dream. And I'll put a link in the description. And, my grandson, he's 14 years old now. And he's my height. And it's amazing how that time just flew by. But that's a children's book that I created for him. It's, for 5 to 10-year-olds. And, again, follow the KJL podcast channel on YouTube. I'm so grateful for everybody that, that came, made comments, watched the episode. And you can see the episode again. It will be on the podcast channel as well. And also, you'll be able to, upload and keep the episode for yourself as well.
Oh, wonderful.
So we're going to be closing out. And again, thank you for coming. Really a blessing to have you here.
Thank you, everyone, for chiming in. Thank you, Kenneth. It's been absolutely a pleasure getting to know you better. And thank you for this attention, and keep it up. And thank you for the amount of time and effort and fluency you have with this platform. It seems to be an extension of your practice, and that takes time and dedication. And so thank you for that.
Thank you. All right, everyone. Bye. Thank you for joining me today on the KJL podcast channel. Your time, support, and creativity mean the world to me. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. It helps keep this artistic journey alive and thriving. Hit the notification bell so you never miss a brushstroke, story, or inspiring moment. Your encouragement fuels the art, podcast, and everything we create together. Stay inspired, stay curious, and remember, every masterpiece begins with a single brushstroke. Until next time, this is Kenneth J. Lewis Sr. signing off from the KJL podcast channel. See you soon.